Council. How are you?
Fine, thank you. How are you this evening?
Good. I'm sorry I'm a little late. Apologize. Thank you for the opportunity. We're here to introduce to you a GIS study that was performed by the International Association of Firefighters. It's a geographical information study, identifies emergency services response capabilities analysis. This is a perspective that has to do with a lot of national criteria and standards, primarily NFPA 1710. This is something that we've introduced every couple years, and we felt it appropriate given budget priorities and the circumstances is so you can get an appreciation for it early on, and as we get closer in the budget cycle to start help with us identify some of the priorities, primarily with staffing. Excuse me. Today, I've asked Captain Frank Soto to present this on the IAFF's behalf. The interesting thing is Captain Soto is a quality assurance officer. He oversees at the ground level to field level the EMS operations, which is a critical position. One, I might add that we'd like to look into funding more positions like his in the future. There's one now that services on a 24-hour basis the entire city. We feel that we should have maybe 2 or 3 that we feel is very important. Again, this study is not to point blame at anyone, nothing like that. This is basically something we'd like to identify as a mutual goal. We can use this document as a reference, maybe create some others, and kind of work collectively. So thank you, Madam Chair, for offering us this opportunity. If, in fact, in the future, after hearing the presentation for the initial introduction, if you'd like to have a works group or a study session, we'd be amenable to work with you throughout the year. So with that, I'd like to introduce you to Captain Frank Soto. Thank you.
Good evening, City Council members. I'd like to start off with thanking you for the time and opportunity for the Albuquerque Area Firefighters Union, Local 244, for providing us with this time in order to bring you our geographic information study. My name is, as Diego stated, is Frank Soto Jr. I'm a captain with the Albuquerque Fire Department, and I will be doing the presenting this evening. If you have any questions, please bring them to my attention. I'll answer them if I can. If I cannot, I will have Diego write them down, and as soon as we can get an answer, we will get back to you. I believe each one of you has a book of our actual study. Yes, ma'am.
If I may, just a moment. I think I've only given you 10 minutes to do this, so perhaps we would hold the questions until you're finished so that you can get through your full presentation, and then if the counselors have any questions, and we have time, we'll go from there. Thank you.
Yes, ma'am. Each one of you has a copy of the actual study. It's a 90-plus page document. It's filled with information. As you stated, there's some time constraints, so I'm going to go through it. I'll be skipping around and giving you guys the down and dirty of what it is. Why did we do a GIS study? The Albuquerque Area Firefighters Union did a GIS study in order to improve our emergency services and identify service gaps and jurisdictional vulnerabilities. We wanted to be proactive in keeping our firefighters and the citizens of Albuquerque as safe as possible. Within this report, there are 5 issues that we are evaluating. Number 1, fire department response capabilities and compliance with national standards. And I apologize if I'm on page 5, if you're wondering, page 5, under scope and objectives. Number 2, staffing arrangements and safe work practices. Number 3, communication systems and mutual aid collaboration. Number 4, strengths and weaknesses of fire departments. And number 5, future goals and ways to improve services. About 2 years ago this month, Local 244 contacted the IAFF and asked them to do a GIS study of the Albuquerque Fire Department and the Bernalillo County Fire Department. We asked them to assess us in accordance to existing NFPA National Professional Standards and OSHA safety regulations. The specific NFPA standard that we are talking and referencing to here is 1710. 1710 is standard for organization and deployment of fire suppression operations, emergency medical operations, and special operations to the public by career fire departments. The OSHA safety regulation that I'm referring to is the OSHA 2 in, 2 out under the Respiratory Protection Standard 29 CFR 1910.134. I'm going to go ahead and jump right into our key findings. If you would turn with me to page 8. Madam Chair, before I forget, would you like me to go over any NFPA or the OSHA standard?
I think not at this time, thank you.
Yes, ma'am. On the key findings, we found that the Albuquerque Fire Department is not in full compliance with performance objectives by NFPA 1710. The Albuquerque Fire Department currently staffs its ladder companies with 3 personnel, and the NFPA standard calls for 4 staffed on-duty persons at a minimum. The Albuquerque Fire Department is unable to respond to 90% of our calls in our jurisdictions in the 4-minute response time as stated in NFPA 1710. The Albuquerque Fire Department is also unable to respond with apparatus and staff to any full first alarm dispatch on 90% of the roads in jurisdictions within the 8-minute response time as per NFPA 1710. In regards to the Bernalillo County Fire Department, currently they staff 8 of their 10 engines and both of their ladder companies with 3 personnel, also falling short of the NFPA 1710 standard. Also, in spite of our close proximity between the Albuquerque Fire Department and Bernalillo County Fire Department jurisdiction, suppression units lack the ability to establish direct communication with one another, and the dispatch centers are operated with separate standard of operation procedures. The 2 fire departments also have incompatible hardware and software for common operation. The inability to achieve direct communication between dispatch centers and all emergency units in the field has already affected some operation and has the potential to harm those in need of help. If we could now please go to page 91. This is the map detail appendix. These are also the same maps between pages 69 and 88. However, if you flip one page, you'll go to map 1. These are just a little bit bigger and easier to see. On map 1, what we're showing here is the Albuquerque Fire Department's current 4-minute engine response capabilities. Everything you see in green is what we are meeting the current NFPA standard with. Everything in red, we are falling short of the NFPA standard time. If you go to map 2, and I'm sorry, I'll be moving kind of quickly through these maps so I can get within the time frame. On map 2 is the Albuquerque Fire Department 8-minute engine current response capabilities. Everything in blue is what the Albuquerque Fire Department is currently responding within 8 minutes. Those small items in red are the areas that we are not. And I just want to be clear here, I know it's kind of small. If at any time a council member needs a bigger map, please let Diego know and we can